I can actually share with you, because I might not cover everything, because there's a lot of things that need to share. But anyway, let's go. Let's without wasting any time. So let me share my slide first. Can you see the slide?
Yes, Prof, but not in slide mode. Okay, this one is okay.
Okay, let me. Okay, so the title today is writing a successful research proposal for KPT with the KPT or last time it's called KPM. Now, sorry, no, I didn't change the KPM. Sorry, that's KPT. Yeah, guideline and criteria. I tried to change the title. Sorry. Okay. So what is important to know about that? Yeah, but I always advise that especially my juniors, my students who graduate and become lecturer in other university, they ask my opinion to how to apply a grant. I always remind them a few things. Yeah, don't ever take for granted. Okay, don't underestimate the grant examiner or evaluator. They are not a fool, so try not to fool them. Okay, if you think that you can take for granted, then check number one. So novelty proven by Scopus, you can always check the novelty by checking on the database, synchronized from beginning to the end. This I will discuss this all in detail. And of course, in between the NPAs, yeah, the national key areas, everything said, it should be something that you should be fall into the cluster and well written in English. This is practically important because one of the criteria in evaluation is a language. Yeah, although it's not much, but language is always something important. After many years of evaluation, I found that writing a grant proposal is more or less like writing a thesis, like you're writing a PhD thesis. It really need to take it very seriously. Yeah, so I'll share more detail later. Then, okay, as you know, the structure of the Bohi research program. Yeah, now after 2009, the university, the ministry actually divided the university into RU and non-RU. I mean, they select a few universities to become as a research university, and on the top you can see that on the top pyramid of the research pyramid in the KPT. Yeah, so under that, there's a research grant called High Core. This is a very big grant, usually about 3 to 5 million, or last time even they give 20 million to UMP, University of Pahang, Malaysia, to set up a whole pilot plant lab. Yeah, last time. So my university also, we obtained a few High Core grant. One of the institution I attached to, Introp, we got about 3 million grant for last couple of years. So this High Core grant, then they are tired. Excellent. This is a laboratory grant. They are a laboratory grant. The one is a different grant, my lab. So the money is given to you to set up the lab. Yeah, the one also one of the grant. So followed by the LRGS. The LRGS is a big grant, usually about 1 million to 10 million. Yeah, usually you can up to 10 million. But the grant, this is very difficult grant. Usually they have many stages. First, you have to go through an RMC proposal, screening, everything, evaluation. Then they will call you for interviews. So the first round, you have to present that. And then usually about 10 to 12 panels consists of professors from various universities. Then the question you on that various aspects. So then after you pass the first screening, then they will ask you to come again for the second screening for budget proposal. So if you pass both of them, then they will consider to award you with the grant. Nowadays, it's getting more difficult to fulfill the LRGS grant. I heard that the latest criteria, they want one of the output of the LRGS is to obtain the Nobel Prize or something. So I didn't think, I'm not sure this is correct or not, because this is what I've been told. But if that is the case, I think that it's very difficult to apply the LRGS grant now, because it's very hard to us to fulfill the criteria. So after that, we have TRGS, NRGS. NRGS usually they are not under KPM or KPT. They're under the Kementerian Pertanian, Agriculture. You know? So of course the last one, the one you be familiar with, the FRGS, ERGS is no longer available, and PRGS, REX also now no longer available, RACE, GSP, and so on. So I think a lot of the grant now MOHI is no longer offer. Yeah, but those who offer are FRGS, PRGS, DRGS, and RGS. Of course, my lab from time to time, high core also from time. Currently, I think they haven't opened for any high core yet. So my talk today will focus more on the FRGS, PRGS, and TRGS. As you know, that FRGS is a fundamental research grant scheme. It is aimed for the generation of new theory, concept, and idea, the answer to why and how. And TRGS is a transdisciplinary research grant scheme, which is capable to establish collaboration partnership across a valid research cluster and transdiscipline. So they actually in the TRGS now you need to put an element of social science. So not only solely on science, they will need to include the social science element. And for LRGS is a long-term research grant scheme. So fundamental research that requires an implementation period more than 3 years. So usually they give it about 5 years to implement the LRGS grant. And the other one is a prototype development research grant scheme, PRGS, research R&D product generation prior to the commercialization. It's not, this grant is not aimed for commercialization, but they aim to produce a prototype. Yeah, does not mean that it's not a finished product, but it's intermediate. It's almost like between the commercialization and the FRGS. Meaning that from your fundamental grant or whatever, and you develop the theory or basic knowledge that you want to further it, to make into prototype. Yeah, so that PRGS will come in. So this is the NPA, the National Priority Area. National Priority Area from time to time might change a little bit here and there because of the Rancangan Malaysia will change from time to time. But basically, they won't run away much. Yeah, most of the area will still remain or more or less the same. Only the cluster might be the cluster or domain might slightly change. But anyway, from the experience, I look back for the last couple of years, I think the area is never have any big changes. Yeah, food security, energy security, plantation crop or agricultural cyber security, water security, biodiversity, healthcare and medicine, environmental and climate change, transportation and mobility. All these things are still remain a main cluster, a main area that the government are interested in. Of course, the research cluster will divide into many like social and economic well-being, food safety and security, infrastructure, climate change, environment, health. So these are the subcluster. These are the cluster for last 2 years. Okay, so they also divide the research domain. From my experience, we found that the most of the money KPT will actually focus on the technology and engineering. Usually, the most of the money will allocate for technology and engineering cluster. The other cluster, they have their share, but much smaller share. Yeah, most of the money will actually allocate for technology and engineering. Yeah, it should be a good news for especially people who are working on science and technologies, engineering. But the bad news is the cluster also having the most people to apply. Yeah, the most people applying under this cluster, technology and engineering cluster, and they're very competitive cluster. Yeah. Okay, this basically just to tell you that the cluster area for LRGS and TRGS in year 2020. And this is a 7 domain for the FRGS and PRGS. So you can apply under this 7 domain, pure and applied science, technology and engineering, social science, information and communication technology, clinical and health science, art and applied art, natural and cultural heritage. These are 7 domains that you can apply under the FRGS or PRGS. So criteria from might change from time to time. I will tell a little bit more later. Yeah, but basically, for FRGS, all this you should always refer to the IMC for the latest criteria. IMC should always keep in touch with KPT to update whatever criteria they change. Usually, they'll give a briefing to the evaluator, or they'll give a briefing. Also, they give a guideline to the IMC. Yeah, at least 2 years of service. Yeah, so people are have to be under the study leave, not allowed to apply for a grant. Then the new criteria. Last time we don't have this criteria number 3. Now they worry that if one of the project leader by having any situation they might leave, or the country, or terminate the contract, or whatever, or whatever reason, they always have a standby, what call that, the core researcher. Then they appoint a researcher that will take over the project after if anything happened to the project leader, so somebody will replace him or her. So then this number 4 also a new criteria, the pattern finding. I think the pattern finding aim to prove that the novelty of your work. Yeah, they try to, you had to do a pattern search that your idea is not being so-called that being discovered or being patterned before. Yeah, this is trying to ensure the novelty. There are not much point on this part. Usually you can easily pass that part, because if you don't pass that pattern search, I think you cannot apply. You better don't apply your project, because your project means that not novel, people have been published or people have been patented. Okay, so usually this is a bonus point. Usually it's very small portion, about 1 or 2 points out of the overall 100%. Yeah, collaboration, industry, agency. These are more encouraged on the PRGS project or LRGS project. Yeah, FRGS it's not really that emphasize on that. And the pengurusan risiko, and that one also easy handle, because usually there's a bonus point to me. People always can handle that. Okay. The impact, yeah. In your proposal, you had to write down the impact, yeah. What kind of impact? That at least 2 elements, society, as industry, or government, academic. You had to highlight that what your project will bring an impact to the society, to the industry, to government, academic. Don't write it too brief or too abstract. Right? Highlight that why your project or output or your outcome of your project can contribute to your work. Yeah, so this is very important. Your impact. So a lot of people writing outputs as output has how many publication, how many students. Okay, it must be very clear. If you apply for 2 years, your output must be at least 1 master student. Yeah, if you're applying for 3 years project, you are expecting 1 PhD project, 1 PhD student graduate. Yeah, this is very important. Nowadays KPT become very stringent, so make sure that you are very careful about that. Yeah, if you write 1 student master graduate and 1 PhD student graduate, make sure that you can achieve that, because if you fail to achieve your KPI, you might affect your chances to apply for next round of the FRGS after your project finish. Yeah, KPI, the KPT will record that what your output. Yeah, all the output. So be very careful about that. And also, rather than writing how many papers you have, write it properly. Which journal you are aimed to. Let's say Q1 journal. Which Q1 journal? Let's say you are aiming for nature or science or whatever. Yeah, you just highlight particularly one Q1 paper or what title. With one title. Of course, not necessarily you have to achieve that. you must get your paper published in that journal. But this is the target journal. It says the target, mean that it show you a clear target, what you aim for. Usually aim for the good journal. Don't aim for the Q4 journal or Scopus journal. That so that your low impact of your work. Okay. Although you might not manage to publish in next year, but it doesn't matter, isn't it? But it is, of course, next year might be too much. But anyway, if you are confident, why not? But just to highlight that, it will better put like Q1, Q2 journal that you want to aim for. Okay, that how many Q1 paper you want to aim to, and must have an element of sustainability development goal. This is now the everybody talking about SDG. Yeah, so you must include how your project related to FDG, the cluster of the SDG. Okay, your future aim. Yeah, FRGS might define the future direction, and PRGS might be commercialized or have a future plan for SDG, society and benefit. Your PRGS must have a very clear plan. What's the next step? How you're going to plan? Yeah, because actually PRGS have two stages. One is your submit a proposal that you evaluate on the panel, and the second stage is an interview. Yeah, you have a presentation, then the panel will interview you, and it's very important to show that you have a clear plan, what you are planning to do after your prototype being developed. Okay. Okay, FRGS. I think most of us will start with FRGS grant. Yeah, because if you have FRGS grant, then you can easily proceed to PRGS grant. Yeah, that's one thing. It's okay. What's FRGS? FRGS is basic research, pure research. FRGS generate new idea. FRGS, they actually they are aiming for the generate new idea, new theory, concept, yeah, and technology to deal with unresolved problems. Okay, so fundamental research leading to advancement knowledge in the area of human nature or natural science, and research should focus on accumulation of theory, fundamental structure, fundamental processes. It's contribute to what advancement of knowledge. It lead to new discovery and technology invention in science. Okay, here what they mean that the keyword is fundamental. The keyword is a basic. Yeah, so it's advancement of knowledge. You are solving some problem. You are solving some problem, develop some theory or whatever. So don't ever try to make a product out of your FRGS application. Yeah, if you have a product on your title, on your content, on your proposal that you're trying to develop a product, then you might fail in this cluster. Yeah, it's not fall into this cluster. Yeah, don't try to develop a prototype. Don't try to develop a product, sort of thing. Yeah, this is aim for fundamental research. So objective of FRGS, fundamental research is a research carried out in charge of the understanding of fundamental principle. Here, the keyword is fundamental. As I mentioned many times, fundamental is a keyword. So the end result have no direct or immediate commercial benefit. Yeah, this is very important. No product, no commercial immediate benefit out of that first. Fundamental can be taught arising out of curiosity. However, in long term, the basis of many commercial products and applied research, of course, the theory can lead to the product in later stage. Yeah. Also, in general, successful proposal write out. It's not about who researchers are and it's about what researchers do. It's not about what researchers need. It's about what need the researcher serve. And it's not about the researcher background and historical. It's about researcher vision and future. This is it's just in general that you have to understand that the proposal of FRGS. Think about the so in UPM, the panel were looking for the way to improve. I think so in the UMS, the panel, internal panel in the university level, they try to help the applicant to improve the proposal. However, in the KPT level, the panel, when your submission, your application already submit to KPT, then the panel from the KPT, they are looking for a reason to reject. This is true. Honestly, I have been serving for panel for many years. At one time, we are given about 3 to 4 days, yeah, to finish about 40 to 50 proposals at the 3-4 days. Imagine that you had to read 30 to 40 proposals in 3 to 4 days. It's quite tiring. Although they put us in the 5-star hotel, whatever, they have a whole day from morning to afternoon and even in evening, we are sitting in the hall trying to evaluate the grant. I remember that time it's really a torturing process. Yeah. People might find it fun. Oh, you are being sponsored by the KPT to all the 5-star hotel, whatever. But I think it's not really fun at all because we are being put in like jail. So I try to solve out all this. So you see, we trying to find the best project to recommend. So when we want to reject, we had to find a good reason to explain why we should reject your proposal, because your comment might be given to you. So we want to you feel that, okay, yeah, we don't simply just because I don't like you or whatever. We really have a strong reason that we want to reject your project. I would say that compared to many years ago, maybe about 2013, 2014, compared to now, when I read the proposal now, it's getting harder and harder to reject a proposal. One thing is that I think the applicants are getting smarter. And I think a lot of university, they invite a lot of KPT panel or cluster head to give a presentation, give a briefing to the academics there, so that they get themselves well prepared for the application. So I found that the content are getting more and more difficult for us to judge that whether to find a fault or something that to reject a proposal. But that's a good thing. I mean, that overall the quality of the proposal is improving. The challenge is that for the panel to select the best of the best proposal. Yeah, you see, at 1 year in 2017, only 12% of successful rate, and only in 2018, only 24% successful rate. I think the best year is 2019. I think the university about 2018 or 2019. That is the best year that the most UPM having the most grant, about 1.4 million. Right? But after that, like last year and this year, I think it's not very good for UPM. Even my faculty, only about 4 projects that be approved by the FRGS. I think it's getting tougher. Yeah, the more selective. Applicant to ensure that a proposal is well written. Apart from well written and novelty, is written to synchronize the current national agenda. So you must be something that is sensitive to what the national issue. Yeah, it's like something related to the government policy, the national needs. Well written, fundamentally sound. Also, that's not important enough. Not imperative of Malaysia. Maybe it may not be funded. So always follow the FRGS guideline. Yeah. I think the MC or whatever, they'll provide the FRGS guideline. So you always have to follow that guideline. So address the funded target audience group. Yeah, this is important in general. So advance the funded agenda and build on the funded, given the history of portfolio, should be applicable and sustainable. Align with the funded priority. I mean, the funder here is KPT here. Build and expand something that value and have the potential to impact beyond the single connection or group of people. Measure and analyze the learning, growth, and movement toward the goal. This is in general. Okay. Why is the most common reason that the grant writer or grant applicant are not receiving the fund? Not new or lack of original idea. This is quite a common comment or reason that your proposal be rejected. The panel found that your idea are not new. To be honest, if your idea, if you search your project, yeah, use a few keywords from your project. If you search in the Google, then you find 100 of the related journal research or whatever publication or something related to your work, then you might have to be very careful that your work might be not so novel. Yeah, diffuse and superficial, unfocused research plan. This is also must be very careful. Your plan might be too superficial, not very detailed. That so that might also be rejected. Lack of knowledge of published relevant work. So your literature review, you should show that you know that what is, people have been done. Yeah, so you should have a good literature review. Lack of experience in essential methodology. Some people just write a very brief methodology. I always encourage that to write a very detailed methodology. It's just like you write your thesis, yeah, or journal papers. I did give a talk 2 weeks ago to one of the institution in UPM. One of the staff asked me, because somebody advised him not to write a methodology in detail, because it might be copied by the panels or someone else. Yeah, I say if people want to copy your ideas, people definitely can copy your ideas. Yeah, because your methodology or whatever might not be actually that new. Yeah, if you're worried about your proposal will be copied by others, then don't submit. Then you better don't submit, because that's a risk that always has a risk that people might copy. But you have to believe that panel have ethic. If somebody do that and you have a strong proof, you can actually complain to KPT. Yeah, but we panel, we have ethic. We don't reject you, then simply reject you. Then we copy your ideas and do the project ourselves. Yeah, I don't deny that there might be some people might doing that. I'm not sure, but I would assume that most of the panels be ethical. They shouldn't do that. So write your methodology in detail. Uncertainty or concerning your future direction. So it's very important that you feel very certain what your research will lead to. Questionable reasoning and experimental application. So these are the things that your methodology are not convincing. Yeah, unacceptable scientific rationale, unrealistic large amount of work. Yeah, remember that FRJ is about 2 to 3 years. Yeah, so your milestone, your planning should be in between 2 or 3 years you can finish. So don't put it too big of job scope. People might not believe that you can finish them. Yeah, if your work is so bombastic, so big, so advanced, then the panel might believe that you can't even finish the work in between time frame. So they might not accept it. So insufficient experiment detail. I mentioned that you should write a detailed experimental, yeah, and uncritical approach. I think if we look through all these comment or reason, you see that it's almost like writing a thesis, yeah, or journal papers. It's all more or less the same thing. Just like writing a thesis. So all these comments are quite common. If we are all successful obtain your PhD thesis, you should have experience how to write a thesis. So if you have experience to write a good thesis, that means that you should be able to write a good proposal as well, because basically the concepts are the same. So a good quality proposal is informative title, convincing executive summary, clear problem statement, objective, scientific background and rationale, good selection of research method, ethical consideration, realistic budget, and schedule. Okay, these are some of the comments you pick up from the proposal. Should thoroughly explain and present the methodology section. Is too brief. This is actually the comment we taken from the applicant. We reject them. Detailed research methodology is needed. You can see that a lot of comment actually under the methodology. Weak methodology can be further improved, especially the methodology, not meticulous, unclear research method.
You want some more? Is it some more?
Hello, please mute your microphone.
Proposals are not free from grammatical and technical error, poorly written, several English and formatting problems. Similarity show that 35% are similar to another proposed from other institution. Mass error detect from language, not very clear. So basically, you can see methodology is a key thing. Then language is also another thing. Novelty as well. There are a few common comments from the panel for the proposal. Okay, here I try to emphasize things. You can see that these are the elements for the proposal evaluation. So our evaluation form will consist of this title, detail of researcher, research information, executive summary, all these things. Usually you fill in your form, an online form. What I highlight here in the red color are the one that as a panel we are given the priority to look into it. the title, the executive summary, the problem statement, research objective, methodology, research design, expected result, and budget. These red color one are the one that we put more attention to it. Yeah. Framework will be able to see similarity index of proposal, including the original proposal from which the similarity is detected. So some panel will go for plagiarism check. Yeah. But most of the panel won't do that because they are short time. Yeah. Check whether the title, executive summary, and problem statement, objective methodology is synchronized. Yeah, it should be synchronized. Just like your thesis, it should be synchronized. Yeah, basically these are the form that we evaluate. Okay, we are given a point, very poor. To be honest, if you get a lot of acceptable point or good, most likely your proposal will be either recommended or acceptable, which means that your chances to get accepted by KPT are quite relatively lower. Unless you are about 90 and above or 85 and above, then you're highly recommended. Those are highly recommended proposal. You have a high chance that your proposal will get accepted at the end. So basically, these are the elements that we are evaluating. You can see that. Okay, title or FRGS must have a fundamental sense, such as illustrating a correlation between theoretical investigation, mechanism, and etc. Okay, you may be using the word new, but try to avoid this. Yeah, because why? Unless you can very sure that the thing is very new. Yeah, but otherwise this new might be misleading. So try to avoid that. Yeah, the word algorithm, search algorithm for what? Okay, so you should try to use that. Executive summary is something that we also look into it. Yeah, a lot of people take for granted in this part. Not that they don't even write a good executive summary. They are too long or too short. Yeah, the objective are missing, or sometimes the objective and methodology are not tailored with what they are written in the detailed proposal. So we need to be very careful on that. You see, it's basically like your thesis abstract. Yeah, if you write a thesis, you have an abstract. So executive summary more or less like an abstract on the thesis. So applicant must present the project concisely. Because usually they give 200 to 300 words. So the executive summary should be very clear. State the significance clearly. Yeah, a lot of people forget to state significant in their abstract or summary. Yeah, what is significant contribution in your project? Yeah, state hypothesis, research problem, solution method, rationale, expected output, include the social economic benefit or related policy at the end of your executive summary. You more or less your thesis abstract 300 words, so 200 to 300 words. Okay. So these are the example of the executive summary. I will share this slide to Dr. Kayo. So I think that later you can have a look in detail on this. I don't have to go through all the example. Okay. So project objective, try to avoid this keyword: to develop, to design, to implement. Yeah. Don't put this type of keyword as your research objective. Try to avoid using this keyword. Yeah, the best thing is that the objective not well written. It's like to analyze or to show that you see this in this example. There are 2 times that to show. So not related to the problem statement. So these are the not well written objective. General objective, like to verify, to describe. Specific objective, for example, to estimate, to determine, to identify, to analyze, to examine. Okay. See, what I suggest to do on this objective is you have a general objective to verify, to describe something. There's on the top. Then you have a specific objective at the bottom. Yeah, you put one statement of the general objective, then followed by the specific objective, a few specific objectives. So this is the best way to present your objective. Problem statement, very important to highlight your problem statement. I think most of us have an experience. during the YWA, the PC thesis examination, that the examiner like to ask you about your problem statement. What is your problem statement of your work? What are you trying to solve? What is the admin problem that you're trying to solve? So it's very important to understand your problem statement. Then the most important aspect of the research proposal is clarity of the research problem. It must be very clearly defined. The problem statement is a focal point of the research. Must have the applicant give a short summary of the research problem that have been identified from the literature. Must be scientific knowledge gap. You see, just like your thesis, the literature serves to identify the research gap. So you have to understand what's a research gap. So the research proposal may not acceptable or credible if applicant are not clearly identify the problem. The applicant present a persuasive argument as to why the problem is important enough to study and include the opinion that others of others. So this is basically led to the literature. And the section must be written like an introduction of a Q1 paper. This is just a subsection, not necessary. But if you have some strong journal as a literature, that would be good. Yeah, one more thing that I have to highlight here. When you write your background of your research, which should include your literature and your problem statement, remember that when you cite your literature, your reference, make sure that you cite also the reference for last 5 years, the latest 5 years from now. Yeah, not all. It doesn't mean that all your reference will be 5 years from now. Yeah, I mean that for past 5 years, but you should consider enough reference for past 5 years. Let's say now it's 2021. So your past 5 years is 2016. So your reference will be between 2016 to 2021 reference. So you must make sure that it consists of reference which is updated. Yeah, not all the old reference, because one of the criteria to judge you is the reference should consist of reference in the last 5 years. Yeah, here reference is important, up to date, or see last 5 years, highly relevant to the problem, original source, first order, high impact journal, and both. Avoid, if possible, the second order index proceeding publication, third order reputable technical export. Mean that try to use journal, especially good journal, as your reference. Try to avoid proceeding or technical report as a reference. Doesn't mean you can't, but you try to avoid that. Methodology, as I mentioned, methodology is one of the most important part in the proposal, and a lot of comment actually given to the methodology. Many proposals are turned down due to unsound methodology. Applicants must explain how they plan to carry out and measure its objective. Then you must do that. Explain why, how you plan your work, and how to measure the objective. Basically, applicant must provide the answer to the following question: what activity need to meet the objective? So your methodology should describe how you describe your method to meet your objective, and what are the start and finish date of the objective. Of course, this will determine your milestone. Yeah, you have to determine your milestone, how long you given. It must be reasonable at the time. So provide each objective must have provide a reasonable time, 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, how long you need for the particular objective. Who has responsibility for completing each activity? Some good proposals I have found very interesting is that each objective they assign the researcher, the team member, yeah, who were involved in which objective, which part. So each objective, they sometimes they also assign which researcher were involved. Yeah, how will participant be selected? Check. Yeah, what factor determine the suitability of the applicant methodology? You should be justify your method, or your method should be justified. Yeah, is that suitable? Does the project built on the model already existent? If not, how this is superior? So you have to check that whether their model is already existent. If not, why is that superior to use this model or something? You have to justify that. What facility or equipment will be required to conduct the activity? As I told you that specific, every detail, your equipment you use, the chemical you use, the material you use, if you use any enzyme or whatever, make sure that you specify them. Okay, as detailed as possible. Here's an example of the methodology. You can refer it later. Yeah. Yeah, you have to provide a Gantt chart, a flow chart as well, your methodology, describe your methodology, just like your thesis. Yeah, you have to provide a flow chart, your Gantt chart, about your work. Yeah, must make sure that you provide this because this is very important. Yeah, if you don't attach that, then you might lose a chance that risk yourself that your project will be rejected. The flow chart application must clearly show the research activity and milestone, reflection of project activity, methodology output, very important. I mentioned that. FIGS requirement. This is the first question, usually appear on the very top and also the end of the evaluation form. Yeah, they always ask the first question that although it's about 5% of evaluation on there, but this 5% is critical. If you get a very low mark, then most likely you'll reject. Nowadays, the evaluation are very different from before. Long time ago, any of the component in the proposal, in the evaluation form, let's say novelty, let's say the literature review, any of the column that you are not fulfilled, we will immediately reject. Now they are different. They ask us to rate, okay, 1 point to 10 point. So they have equivalent to weightage of each portion. So let's say 8 point for 10 mark, 10 mark. Let's say like methodology or executive summary about 10%. So the 10, if we have 8 point, we give rate 8 point, that means that you have 8% you obtain. So although it's a 5 point, weightage is only 5 point. So if we give a very low, then you will lose immediate loss for 2 to 3 points. You might think that 2 to 3 points is not important, but you imagine that you might need 1 point to become a highly recommended project. Yeah, that's an important thing. So every point don't lose. So novelty, cutting edge is always on the top and bottom of the evaluation form. So it always be asked, we will be asked for that. So the research use novel technique, tools, or procedure. It's a new data required, new data on the new way, existing data utilized in the new way, can the existing application used in the new way? Yeah. So the proposed research might potentially patentable and punchable. You see, it doesn't mean that you have to be totally new, but it should be something, the element of novelty there. Yeah. You generate new data using a new way to gather the data, yeah, using existing data utilized in the new way, yeah, existing application but applied in a new way. So these are the novelty that, of course, high impact. The impact is very important. Yeah, your project, the output, you have to specify the part. Okay. Research outcome, impact factor journal. Yeah, I mentioned that you had to mention how many papers you want to publish at the end of the project. 2 papers, Q1. So written that your title of the journal you target to submit. So train at least 1 PhD. If you apply for a proposal, you mention apply for 3 years project, must be 1 PhD graduate. If you apply for 2 years project, must be 1 master student graduate. Elaborate potential application and elaborate new knowledge. Yeah, but so this is an output. That's a potential application. Don't develop that at the end of project. It become a new product or something. Yeah, because FRGS is not aimed to develop a product. Now, budget is a very important part. A lot of time that people fail in the budget, especially try to keep 11,000 word, which is RA or RA or research student, GRA. Yeah, well, 30,000 for 2 years or 54,000 for 3 years. Yeah, you see here, they're very specific. I think the rate for the master student has been increased to 2,000. I think I had to check with IMC what's the latest rate. I think that they have been revised the rate. Yeah. So master student rate, I think it's now 2,000, and PhD, I think it's 2002 or 2004. So they are different rate. So you had to very specify that. Okay, retain about traveling and transportation to 10K. So traveling and transportation, please retain it to 10K, no more than that. Okay, don't buy equipment unless the equipment are very necessary. Yeah, I'm not advised that you buy the new equipment unless the particular equipment is very important, because buying special equipment only about should not be more than 40% of total grant you apply. Okay, limit the research material strictly according to the method. So your material you want to buy, yeah, make sure that it's strictly related to what the methodology you use. Provide detail. Yeah, what chemical you want to buy, your labware, software, whatever. Put in detail all the chemicals, everything. Put in detail all the accessory you want to buy. Put in detail that you want to purchase. Yeah, get limit and during the 2016 to 17 is about 100 to 130K. In 2018 is 100K. This one, although the FRGS mentioned that you can apply up to 250K, but sometimes the cluster head will decide the shilling of the grant. So this is not nothing to do with you, because sometimes you cannot control, because this is among the cluster head and the panel agreement. So don't worry about this time. Limit is not the same for each cluster. So clinical and health is 250,000. Because of the allocation and application number, so sometimes they'll do adjustments on the shilling. So they will set a shilling for the cluster. So example, we last time we set the shilling 100K for in 2018, so that more people can obtain the grant. So this is internal arrangement, so nothing to do with you. One thing you have to understand that about budget, about transport and traveling, if you plan to go OC for conference, never put the conference in the first year, because panel believe that in the first year you start to do your research, to develop your research. You haven't got any data yet. You shouldn't present your work in the first year. You should go for your conference, whatever, in the second year. So if you're say traveling for conference or something, better plan it for second year. Okay, don't put it in the first year. Later project objective and research activity, reasonable appropriateness of cost estimate, overseas traveling year 2 and onward. You see, if you have 3 years, then year 2 or year 3. If you only 2 years, then year number 2. And worth 3,500 must have a quotation and justification. Special equipment, you must provide a quotation and justification why you need that special equipment. Yeah, here is one example that of the budget they're rejecting. Why they reject? No detail. Yeah, there's no detail. The meeting conference data. Yeah. So the first year they already go for conference. So they're not encouraged. Then the material. Yeah, this is okay. They see the second year, the conference, then go for second year. Yeah, national conference, however. Yeah, the material they describe what they want to buy, material, everything in detail. Yeah, they write every detail. Synchronization. The proposal must be seen from the start to the end. Exercise or thesis might be synchronized. Literature review to support the problem statement. Discussion question hypotheses are related to the objective. Method answering the objective. Method reflecting the member contribution. Flowchart summarize the method. Outcome must follow the FRGS criteria. Budget must be reflected in the methodology. So these are the criteria. Assessment criteria for FRGS, the keyword is fundamental. The research must be fundamental. Application must have a good research track record, publication and previous finding. So it's good. It's always good that you update your CV in the my grant. Yeah, your publication, your member publication. If you are very junior in research, I would encourage that you invite a few team members which are more senior and have a good publication, because they will appear together in your proposal. So your team, as overall, your team publication will appear to be strong. So Are young academic staff encouraged to apply? Yes, special condition will be given based on the availability of the project. Young researchers are encouraged to apply. Yeah, doesn't mean that only the senior lecturer, professor can apply. Yeah, but one criteria, the team, the capability of the team. Yeah, one of the criteria that you will evaluate is that we look at the team member. So what I mean here is that if you are junior staff, you are the senior lecturer, just graduate from OC or just finish your PhD, then you apply for FRGS grant. Make sure that it consists of some senior members, let's say an AP or professor levels, which have a good experience, good track record in research, and also similar to your field, so that they can appear that your team is, in overall your team are capable to carry out. You see, we have to judge from the team member as well, not only the applicant capability, the leader capability, research ability definitely will evaluate, based on the CV, but we also will evaluate your team member capability. Yeah, do you consist of some senior experience researcher? Yeah, this is the team. So research leader and team capability, viability of research plan, the budget proposed by reasonable, utilization of existing available infrastructure. We encourage that to use the existing instrumentation equipment, whatever. Let's say you want an SEM, you have in UMS, so you highlight that those instruments in your methodology will be appear in the UMS. Okay, those equipment. So we encourage that you put your equipment where you can find those equipment. Track record and composition of team. You see that I mentioned that your team member is very important, that within a previous successful research project, your team member and yourself must have a good track record. If you are very junior, you don't have a track record, so your team member must have a good research track record. Yeah, a very balanced team. Quality of proposal, meticulous, proper use of language, construction. Make sure, just like your thesis, prove it again and again. Good formatting and presentation. Element of FRGS criteria, novel, cutting edge, and high impact. This is very subjective, based on panel opinion, experience. But usually, if you yourself also feel that that's not novel enough, so how the panel going to think that your proposal is novel? Okay, so this is the end of the FRGS. So I will touch a little bit on PRGS. Last month, I just evaluate a PRGS grant. Not evaluate. I evaluate the progress of the PRGS grant. I mean that those people already obtained the PRGS grant from KPT. That after 1 year, we will evaluate them. Yeah, whether we extend, we propose them to be continue, or we terminate them. See, even if you get a grant for PRGS or LRGS or TRGS, from in between, they will evaluate. If we found that you cannot proceed, we will propose that maybe to terminate you or whatever. So you very much you make sure that you have a progress on your work. Okay, about prototype research grant scheme. This is another grant that you obtain after you obtain your FRGS, after you complete your FRGS, or maybe you have some project, some grant from internal. Let's say UMS offers some internal grant, so you develop some theory, some fundamental theory, some knowledge, some process. So you want to make it into a prototype, yeah, so that you can for future commercialization. So you can apply for this grant. One thing people might confuse that is, should we have obtained the FRGS grant to apply for PRGS? No, not necessary. If you have some internal grant, yeah, you still can use that one as a proof that you already finished your fundamental research. You have proved that you already laid a foundation of your research. Then you must show the proof that you have done your current proposal for PRGS is based on the previous project. That whether it's PRGS, whether from FRGS or from the internal grant, okay, or from any other grant, you already developed a fundamental theory or whatever background. So you want to further develop into prototype. So you must have a previous project as a proof that you've done. So on top of the previous project, you want to develop a prototype. So you can apply for PRGS grant. So the philosophy of this grant is that it cannot be commercialized because the research is on the early stage. Yeah. The continuity for PRGS was established to close the gap between the research, discovery, and commercialization of new technology. You cannot say from FRG directly go for commercialization because they haven't yet to develop the pre-commercialization state. So you should develop a prototype. So PRGS aim to man the gap. So it's in between the fundamental and commercialization. So it aims to develop a prototype. So definition, funded the establish or development prototype and close the gap between the laboratory research discovery field to the pre-commercialization. This includes a proof of concept, assessment, upskilling, preclinical testing, or field testing. So these are the PRGS thing. Yeah, you see that the PRGS prototype can be proof of concept. Yeah, it can be a proof of concept from the assessment or something, upskilling, preclinical testing or field testing. So these are covered under the PRGS. The purpose of the PRGS is established to help to close the gap between the research discovery and commercialization of the creation and discovery of the new technology in line with the need of key economic, knowledge economic, or new economic owner. So this is the purpose. So of course you register your profile in the My Grant. So activate the profile RMC, prepare the proposal in My Grant system, present it. So unlike the FRGS, in PRGS you have the presentation. Yeah, you will be presented. So the panel might be approved with condition or approve or reject. So you might, if you approve, there will suggest some amendment that you need to do. So might be go for second evaluation. Yeah, yeah. So endorsed by the or they will usually now they only have one round evaluation. Yeah, first round there are two round evaluation. One is like FRGS, we will do an online screening. Yeah, after your RMC screening, send to KPT. So it's like FRGS, we will send to a panel for evaluation. So the FRGS will comment. You comment something, then those who pass the first screening, they will call for presentation. They will call for presentation and evaluated by the panel. So the panel, you have to present in front of the panel, and the panel will give a comment. Yeah, whether they accept your proposal and some suggestion. They say that, okay, maybe they will adjust some budget or something, then they'll approve it. Okay, so then you get your PRGS grant. Financial rule, PRGS cannot be used for the following item. You cannot use it to produce a business plan. You cannot do it for the market survey. You cannot use it for product exhibition or promotion or for conference presentation. Remember that PRGS is not like FRGS. It's not really a research grant. Yeah, it's not really like a fundamental research grant. Yeah, it's more like skill out, develop, proof of concept, further develop from the project, upskilling your current project. So there are a few things very different from other grants. Another thing I don't highlight here is you cannot apply, you cannot pay the student. Yeah, remember that. Don't put any student in your PRGS grant. But you can put research associate, research fellow in PRGS grant. You can recruit RA or RF, research fellow or research associate, but you cannot recruit GRA, graduate research assistant, in FRGS grant, because this is different. You use RA or or RF to upgrading, to proof of concept, to develop prototype, upskilling. Yeah. So in the PRGS, you cannot recruit student. Yeah, they cannot pay for student. Yeah, you can only pay for RA or RF. Yeah, so this you can see here the budget is very different from FRGS. The budgeting for here is no more than 30,000. Research RO or research officer or research associate or research fellow. Yeah, must not be a student. Yeah, expenditure encompass all domain domestic and overseas travel responsibility related to project, no more than 50% project total allocation. If more than 50%, registrants must get approval from evaluation committee. If you need more, you have to justify why. Rental is only allowed for building, equipment, transportation, and other goods which is directly related to prototype development. Only for research material, only expenditure related to research is allowed. It's not allowed to buy commercialized communication, ICT equipment, and office equipment such as toner, stationery, and any purchase for they are not directly related to research project. Yeah. Then for the maintenance, only expenditure related to the maintenance and minor modification, building, laboratory equipment, and other related research. Maintenance costs of existing equipment can be used during the course of the project is allowed. Once the project completed, the maintenance cost should no longer be borne by the grant. So special service including painting, hospitality, honorarium, professional service, consultation, use of computer, data processing, and other service related to the prototype development. Intellectual property filing payment is allowed by shilling about 5,000 and result responsibility of IPT. Yeah, from the latest regulation from 2021, this year, the IPT has set a new regulation for PRGS, the new output, the new KPI for PRGS. For those who applied last year, for those approved last year, not bound by this new output. Now, if we apply PRGS and get approval, one of your output is you must have at least one patent filing. Yeah, unlike last time, they say any intellectual property. That means that a lot of people are using a copyright as an output. Copyright, industrial design, trade secret, or and not patent, because panel are very particular. Because when you mention one thing I want to highlight here as very patent, yeah, you have to bear in your mind here, very careful, because a lot of your project from PRGS is based on the previous project, yeah, let's say FRGS or the internal grant, and a lot of people patent the output based on the previous project, let's say the FRGS project. You see, the panel will question you when you have a patent from your PRGS grant as an output. They will question you, this patent is based on the output from the previous project or the current project. I mean from the PRGS project, or you patent it based on the FRGS project. Because some people obtain the result from FRGS project, then they patent it, they claim it as an output in PRGS. This have to be very careful. During the progress presentation, the panel will usually ask you about that. Yeah, so you have a new criteria. You at the end of your project of PRGS grant, you must produce at least one patent filing, not granted, right? Patent filing. This is a new regulation. For special equipment, only purchase of special equipment and accessory, including and increase the capability of existing equipment which is related to the development prototype, are allowed. Every application must have justification and quotation according to treasurer circulate. Total amount requests are no more than 40% of the grant budget. Not allowed to purchase any telecommunication ICT equipment such as workstation, laptop, iPad, handphone, printer, stationery, and other items that is not related to research project. The use of KPT grant allocation for management and administration charge is not allowed. Okay, so be very careful about your budget. Another thing is that when you do a proposal of FRGS, you remember that you are upscaling, you are proof of concept, yeah, especially upscaling. You're upscaling, you shouldn't add another new component to it. Yeah, if your new component requires another study for fundamental, then it's not fulfill the PRGS concept. So last time we reject one UTP proposal because the professor who proposed the proposal requests that he want to add another new equipment, another new item into his current system. We believe that the new system will disturb the original concept. So he need a fundamental study for the particular component. So this is not fulfill the PRGS concept because you only solely for upscaling, not to develop another new study. So be very careful about what you buy. So research output, one prototype. Yeah, you must have one prototype. It can be a software, it can be a product prototype, it can be a proof of concept or whatever. The commercialization output, yeah, it doesn't mean that you have to commercialize, but at least one of the output is that do you have any potential buyer, any potential outcome, yeah, any obtain any grant or any source or money, yeah, any income for that project, yeah, any external grant that, yeah, you link any buyers. So these are things all they will evaluate during your progress, yeah. And one property started from this year, all the PRGS must have at least one patent filing. TRGS, it's quite a while that they don't offer TRGS. Last 2 years they offer TRGS. I think this year they don't offer TRGS grant. It's a TRGS basically is like a mini FRGS with 3 different research clusters, sometimes 4. Yeah, research cluster in the same institution. It's a FRG is a fundamental research, fundamental exploratory or ERGS research that produce theory, concept, idea, or the advancement of knowledge. It looks like what I call a combination of a few FRGS projects, but they must be related to each other. Yeah? So it will evaluate like same like a FRGS panel, follow exact the TRGS guideline, must show the connection between the project. Although it's a combination of a few FRGS project, you must show the connection with, let's say, project A, B, C. Yeah, the individual project must have a connection to each other. Yeah, it's not an individual project. It proposes a few projects, but among the project must have a connection with each other. Yeah. So it's like a combination of the project. Yeah, it's good to address the economic and social science issue. Yeah, the new criteria that they request that you must have a social science study in your research in TRGS. Yeah, even in PRGS also they request now they must have a social science element in your proposal. This I forget to mention this now. So now except FRGS does not necessarily have a social science element, PRGS and TRGS now request as a socio-economic aspect in the proposal. TRGS can build a collegiate collaboration across a multiple cluster and transdisciplinary research to put Malaysia on the world map in terms of fundamental research in the particular research cluster. So FRGS is an individual project. TRGS is a combination of a few FRGS which might be consist of a cross-boundary research, the transdisciplinary research. Yeah, so it might consist of transdisciplinary. So bioscience might work with physics, or might be work with engineering, might be work with mathematics, might be work with computer science. You see, transdisciplinary. Yeah, so it's like a teamwork. So 3 or more fields, then conception of new fundamental or methodology, then develop a new methodology. That's the aim. Yeah. Transdisciplinary research, new fundamental or methodology, education, new technology, publication, economic development, publication, social development. These are the main academic elements. So this is a grant of the research budget limit. This one you have to be very careful. It might be from time to time there will be change. You see that for FRGS, 1 PhD, 3 paper, an index link journal, 2 years. Then TRGS, 4 PhD or 8 master, 8 journal index journal, at least 2 Q1, 1 patent, and ARGS is no longer available. ARGS also criteria have changed now, and PRGS at least 1 IP per project. It's not aimed for publication. It's more aimed for prototype or output as a IP, intellectual property. So The procedure of the TRGS is initiation, choose a real problem, identify 3 or more fields of 10 discipline approved, study the real problem, study each field, then develop the new fundamental methodology. So executing, develop and apply scientific material, develop new technology, then apply new technology, then measure the scientific parameter, evaluate new technology, measure economic parameter, measure social parameter. You can see that TRGS and PRGS now they have a social science element there. Yeah, but basically the output is similar to FRGS, publication, student, there's a major output. The criteria here you can always obtain from the RMC. RMC will give you the criteria of the grant, because from time to time they might change a little bit here and there. So you always get the latest briefing for RMC on the term of application. Certain criteria, the proposed research must be able to produce a new idea, theory, concept, method, models, or process. It's quite similar to FRGS, but the thing is that there are multiple projects, and each individual project will be evaluated by panel. Yeah, they don't evaluate the whole proposal as a whole, but they evaluate also the individual proposal. So like FRGS project, so they will send in the team. They will say that they apply for TRGS consists of 4 projects. So each individual proposal will be evaluated by the panel. So the research could improve the policy, methodology, and model of existing solution. Research cover issue of a humanitarian community of purpose of increasing the life of the nation and users. The research have the potential contribute to the country's strategic agenda. These are the basic. Yeah, basically, this is the structure of you have program leader, then you have project leader 1. Usually the project leader 1 is the same as a program leader. The program leader should lead one of the project. Then you have cluster A, cluster B, and cluster C. So then the combination of the 3 projects. Outcome must train at least minimum 4 PhD or 8 master, must publish 8 journals, at least 2 Q1, at least 1 patent or intellectual property. Yeah. Or intellectual property such as copyright, patent filing, industry design, trade secret or something. So the TRGS subject template main issue is what the significant topic, issue or content to be approved and the transdisciplinary fraction. For example, climate change, seeing the body, something. So reason of the transdisciplinary approved. Why is transdisciplinary approved valuable or necessary for this topic? So unlike the FRGS, which is very narrow and specific, the transdisciplinary TRGS, they're looking into the connection of the different different field project with a connection. So they are solving the bigger problem, yeah, but bring into a smaller project. Let's say for climate change, you look into climate change issue. So under the big umbrella of climate change, you divide into 3 components. So each component will lead by a project leader. So why it's needed for this multiple collaboration with transdisciplinary research? You have to justify that. What the difference of transdisciplinary undertaking make? The integrative structure, what is the aim of taking this transdisciplinary approach? What researchers expect to produce? For example, deeper understanding, balanced judgment, solution, tangible product. Transdisciplinary operation, what sort of transdisciplinary move will researcher need to make to produce this integrating structure? So you must show that how you integrate each other. Okay, for example, translation, balancing, synthesize, or accommodation, sorting. So how the researcher work together. Discipline to be integrated. What discipline is that? So you might have a social science, you might have a mathematics, pure science, you might have engineering, you might have bioscience, whatever. So you might have a different disciplinary. How the each disciplinary be working together. So for each discipline, what is important for transdisciplinary work on this issue? What sustainable contribution do they say make? How is centrally relevant to the illuminating of the issue? How did it present a clearly distinct perspective, representing a different way of knowing? what would the missing of if this discipline were not represented. So all these things you have to answer that the TRJS. Same as PRJS, you have to present as well to the panel. So multidisciplinary membership, including engineering, science, social science, member must know the H index, show the H index, and must have a different expertise need and approved. So you must have a good researcher team. Yeah, project leader and program must have a reasonable citation and H index proven. So especially the program leader, they need a good track record for the program leader. A choice of reputable and holistic research leader, better chance of success. So very important that you choose a good track record leader as your program leader and also as a project leader for TRJS research. Yeah, it's unlike the FRJS, because TRJS can go for 1 million grant, so the budget is bigger. Yeah, research leader must be able to defend the project. Program leader must be able to defend the whole program and must understand everything for the whole project. So who become appointed as a program leader should know all individual project in detail. Okay, 2-tier researcher, experience more than 20 years, 10 to 10 years, less than 10 years. So mean that very experienced, moderate experience, and very junior staff. So you should consider. Not all the members are very senior, or not all the members are very junior, or not all the members are moderate. You should consider of 2 tiers of researcher. Brainstorming section while writing the proposal is useful. So it's encouraged to have brainstorming before writing the proposal. So program leader is particularly important in the TRJS. So must choose somebody have reasonable good H index, can see the bigger picture, can present and defend, can answer rigorous questioning, because the panel can ask a very tough question, non-defensive and not easily upset. Yeah, because sometimes when the panel try to challenge you or question you in a way more critical way, some people tend to be very defensive. This will be very bad. Yeah, so the panel will think that you are very emotional or very defensive. So that will give a very bad impression to the panel. Okay, can accept negative comment and spin to make it positive, can communicate in English and Malay, can give a convincing answer of question. So this is the criteria about the program leader. The title must align with the funding provider priority to show the depth of research. Use the crossbreed terminology to show your strength. Then do not use the out-of-date overused word sentence. Must show the research is cutting edge. Yeah. So this mapping example. You can see later. Okay. So the methodology, use flowchart, use schematic diagram, current up-to-date method, cutting edge, reflecting the objective. Mostly similar to the way of writing FRJS, but just that the program is with a several project. Don't do shallow title. Don't use outdated or old cycle. Yeah, don't recycle the old project. Too focused into a discipline because this is transdisciplinary, so I should show the transdisciplinary nature. Not seeing the big picture. Yeah, subsidy. I mean that don't just do it if you feel good only yourself. Cost too high, unreasonable. Don't ask for the budget to build a lab or buy equipment. Okay, basically this is the brief presentation on the FRJS. Dr. Kayo asked me to share a little bit how UPM working on the try to help their staff to stand a better chance to get the grant. I would say that there are a few approaches done by the RMC in UPM. From time to time, UPM have a kind of talk. We invited a panel from the cluster head from KPT to present, to share their knowledge on how to prepare the proposal well. Also, the panel selected to evaluate for each cluster usually are very experienced researchers. Yeah, UPM always select the evaluate panel which is experienced in each individual cluster to evaluate the application. And this is particularly useful because those who have experience in obtaining the grant before, they can be served as a panel before in KPT. They can actually comment more critically really during the UC level and try to help the applicant to improve their proposal. Because once you submit to KPT, there's no return anymore. So the best time is to improve your proposal is still when they still remain in the university level. And UPM quite interesting is that they do it quite earlier. I mean, once usually KPT for example for FRGS, usually they're open for about a month or two before the closing date. But IMC are doing quite earlier and doing the evaluation quite earlier because sometimes they have two times of the evaluation. I mean that once they submit the evaluation to the panel, the internal panel, the panel might suggest some improvement. So the applicant will have to correct the proposal again, then they submit to panel to evaluate whether they're satisfied or not. If not, they still have to return to the applicant and to make a correction to improve. So they were directly or indirectly helping the applicant to improve their proposal. And other thing is that we from time to time have mini workshop guiding the staff to how to prepare the proposal. Yeah, IMC also will conduct some training. Yeah, some training or clinic on the proposal writing. This is particularly important, especially for young researchers which are not experienced in application. Yeah. So also UPM, IMC have worked very closely with KPT. So they always update the staff what is the latest changes, latest criteria. They attend the meeting with the KPT staff, KPT briefing whenever there's a briefing on the new criteria. So then they will conduct a briefing to all the academic staff on the new criteria. I think that's very important. You see, the applicant can do their part, but the IMC also have to do their role. They play their role. You see, IMC have to make sure that all the guidelines have been fulfilled. Yeah, KPT are quite annoying if the IMC doesn't safeguard to ensure that the applicant that fulfill all the guideline or requirement from the KPT. Yeah, so IMC actually is serve as a kind of guide before the application submit to the KPT for evaluation. So I remember many years ago, when I was still a very young panel, we did reject one local university, the whole batch of them, yeah, because of the IMC making a very obvious mistake. So we decided to reject the whole university application. One local university, all the application for the whole university are rejected. So this is very bad. That's why IMC had to be very careful to make sure that all the panel understand the latest criteria, and also all the applicant understand what the latest requirement guideline from the KPT. Yeah, they should conduct the talk from time to time to update the staff, the academic staff, what's the latest criteria of the grant, the KPT grants. Yeah, that's one thing that they should play their role. Yeah, the applicant can also actually not only refer to their own universities, those who successfully obtain a grant, but also can refer to other university academic who actually successfully obtain a grant. Maybe can ask them to share their previous proposal and see what kind of criteria, what element, how the style or format they prepare their proposal, so you can learn from them. Yeah, and of course I mentioned before, methodology is very important, language is another important, and ensure novelty, that's very important. As an unofficial guideline, unofficial, I mean that I don't say it's official, I will always encourage that if you are very junior, or you don't have any, or if we don't have any idea how to prepare a good proposal, one idea you can do is that you can use your thesis, your student thesis, that as a guideline. Yeah, those yet to publish one. Yeah, you might have a student that they're going to finish or whatever, the thesis is already ready. So you can use that as a base to apply your FRGS grant. I always say that you can always use the student. You already have student, master student, or PhD student going to graduate, yeah, yet to publish a paper or something. That thesis is very good material to prepare your FRGS, because why? Those pieces are being examined by the examiner. They are well written. They already have all the structure, the summary, the abstract, the methodology, the literature review, the objective, the problem statement, all defined already, except the output. Don't put the output in your proposal. Yeah. So I think that's an unofficial guideline. If you usually, if you don't have a good proposal, maybe you can use your master's student, PhD student proposal to prepare a proposal. That will be helpful. Yeah, this is the way. Yeah, that always encourages students. If you have more than one student, yeah, then this is probably a good. I did once use my PhD student thesis as a proposal to apply a FRGS grant, and I got it, the grant. Yeah, but the paper, later we published the paper based on our research. Those, one thing is good about this is that you already have you can have, or it can be assured that you have output because your student already have output. Sure. So you can ensure that your KPI can be achieved with publication. So you can use that money to also develop some other new project at the same time. Yeah. That's a thing that I can share with you if we carefully plan for that. But it depends on individual. Some people, they want to start from zero. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I just have a suggestion on that. Yeah, I think Dr. Kayo, if the audience have any question, I can try to answer them.
Okay, thank you, Prof. I think thank you very much for very detailed explanations on almost major grants from KPT. Here we have cover FIGS, PIGS, and TIGS. Yeah? So I think now I believe many of you have questions already, including myself. Okay, I open first for the others to ask. If you have any questions, please just turn on your mic. Anyone? We have 49 participants here.
Okay. Dr. Kayo,
Yes.
later I'll share my slide with you. I'll email my slide to you.
Sure.
You can share with the audience. And another thing is that if any audience cannot, maybe they have some question, they still haven't think about any question, you can share my email to them. If they have any question, they can always email me. I can answer.
Okay. Thank you, Prof. Okay. Yeah. I think I will share you the slide and then also the recording also for today's talk. Yeah? And also you can find the email. So I will share you the email for Prof. Luqman for you if you have further questions. Okay. Any questions from the audience, from the participants? Perhaps I will start first, Prof. So, Prof, I think in one of your slides you mentioned that the maximum budget for each of field or cluster is different. Like 250 is for medical or health science or something. Well, for engineering or something is about 100.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
But in the guideline is all 250, right?
Yeah, I understand. Sorry, I need to explain this one. Actually, officially, all the ceiling is 250 for FRGS. Why appear into certain year that entering is about 150, 100,000? This is internal arrangement by the cluster head and panel.
Okay, okay.
The panel and cluster head will sit down together, discuss. Okay, this year we have allocation that much. Then the cluster head might suggest that we try to set a ceiling for the project so that we can make sure that more people can get a grant. For last couple of years, this is suggested by the cluster head, and the panel agree. Because if we go for ceiling 250, if many of the project go for 250 or 200,000, that means that less people will get the grant. So the cluster head try to calculate the allocation and the total application. They say they set about 10 to 15%. So they found maybe the ceiling is about 100,000, that we can ensure about 15% of the people might get a grant. Yeah. So this is why there's a in my slide. Actually, I shouldn't show there because it confuses you.
It's okay. It's okay. It's good for us to know.
It's actually decided by the cluster itself. It's not official by KPT. KPT left to the cluster to decide how much they want to give. The cluster heads do that because he want to help more people to get the money. That's why he divided the allocation with the total application.
Okay, thank you, Prof. So it means that is it best for us to set the budget between 100 to 150 for in the proposal, something like that, even though officially the guideline says you can go up to 250?
Actually, you should apply according to what you need.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 250, if try to make sure that no more than 250. Yeah, because if your project you yourself also not confident 250 can be done, so the panel definitely will feel the same thing. Yeah, so it should be, you can be for sure that 250 is a ceiling. Most of the panel will deduct part of it. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah. So some of the thing that think, oh, you might overspend in the traveling or whatever, they might think that you're not necessarily have to spend too much on the glassware or something. They might deduct some here and there. So that's quite common. But some people say, okay, maybe I apply for 60,000. Since it's so little, the panel also say give you lah. So pity you only need 60,000. Yeah, you might encounter there are some panel there might think the way this guy only applied for 60,000. So what's the point? You reject him? Too pity him. But you are having a problem. Your KPI still had to deliver the same. Yeah. Some people might think that I apply less than 100,000 might stand a better chance. Yes, I agree that some panel would think that if you apply very little, they'll pity you. Of course, psychologically, they think, oh, you need so little.
So that's also come to the next questions, actually, Prof. Let's say if the panel reduce the budget while we still have to achieve the basic KPI of FRGS for 2 publication and so on, means that from the panel opinion, 100K is the, let's say, whatever budget approved, it means that they already know, or they already, the applicant have to commit it with the approved budget to still have to fulfill the KPI, something like that, Prof.
Yes. Yeah, like my case, I applied for 100,000, then slash to 78,000.
Okay.
I still had to deliver 1 master student.
Okay.
With 2 journal papers.
Okay.
But the thing is that if you go to complain to the KPT, or they say before you sign the agreement, you can accept or reject. If you accept that, then you cannot complain. If you reject, then there's no issue already.
Okay, Prof. We have another question here from Dr. Zikamila Kamin. Doctor, do you want to ask directly, Doctor? Rather than I read your questions here. Okay, no. All right, let me read the questions. Salam, Prof. Luqman. Thank you for illuminating presentations. I have 2 preliminary questions. For FRGS grant, first question is how we strike a good balance between FRGS title and postgraduate student thesis as an output of FRGS. because two of thesis title has different depth. The second one is, I also wondering what is the strategy that we can use to produce patent and publish finding. Because I was meant to understand that for patent or IP, the data should not to be published before patent filing. Maybe Prof can share from the perspective of timeline management.
Okay, let me answer the first question first. The title of the FRGS, okay, imagine that your title of FRGS is more or less like a journal paper title. Yeah, you have very specific objective. You have very you cannot, like, unlike the PhD thesis or master thesis, you have a longer time to finish your project. But in the FRGS project or something, you only have about 2 years or 3 years. Yes, you can treat it like a thesis title, but the key point is not how it look like a thesis title or non-thesis title. The keyword is how to highlight that in the novelty of your work, the contribution of your work, and what's the objective. Your title your title reflects all these elements. If I read your objective, your title, I can understand what you're trying to do, what you're trying to contribute, yeah, what you're trying to focus, and is the title any novelty, yeah. They say last time a lot of people say that when the nanotechnology is very is a very new thing, a lot of people propose nanotechnology, nano, everything the nano. So it doesn't matter how to your title close to or not to your thesis. I think a good proposal title is somehow more or less like a thesis title, but somehow I want to make a clarification here. Thesis titles sometimes tend to be a bit general. If you read many of the thesis title, they are not very specific. But grant proposal title must be very specific. What you try to study. Let's say the mechanism of what process. So this is to investigate certain mechanism. Yeah, the mechanism or the bacteria or enzyme functioning or something like that. So this is very specific. Something that you read the title, you know that what you actually try to study. Your problem statement is there. Your objective is there. I can read that. I know that what is your aim, and I must feel the novelty from your title. That's more important. I found PhD title or thesis title, somehow people tend to be general. Yeah, I'm not sure why the tendency to be like that. Yeah, I found because I examine many theses. At the end of the day, my other examiner will suggest very general title for that. Try to cover many things because the scope is big. But make sure that it's not happen in the grant proposal at FRGS because you already focus on one project, one very specific objective. So it more or less like a journal title. You see, I would say that it's more to like a journal title rather than a PhD title, thesis title. I'm not sure that this is what you try to ask me about that. But if that is not correct, you can email me and I can explain further because I try to clarify what the question. And your second question is, sorry, can you repeat the second question again?
Yeah, how we can use strategy that we can use to produce patent and publish finding, because
okay,
we cannot publish before we patent it, right?
For FRGS, you are not necessary to request for intellectual property, but if you have, that would be nice. Yeah, FRGS more emphasize on publication, but some people think that they should protect their property, there's a patent before publication. Yes, you can do that. You still can publish. Yeah, you still can patent, but your publication should be within 1 year. You should file the patent. Yeah, there's a rule in Malaysia. If your work have been disclosed between less than a year, you still can file your patent. But more than a year, that you cannot file anything. It is considered as being disclosed, openly disclosed. Yeah, you should plan for that. So try to balance between the patent and publication. So sometimes it depends on what you want. If you are planning to commercialize your product or something, then I will say that you have to sacrifice the publication first, go for patent filing, which will take a longer time. Yeah, until everything's settled, then you start publishing. Or you can try to speed up your patent process, but you can still publish your paper, but within 1 year you should file your data. That's it. That's the thing. Yeah, in between 1 year you should file your data. In Malaysia, they allow you that in between 1 year you can your publication, in between 1 year of your publication you still can file your patent. But more than 1 year, they consider it's already open. So that's the thing. So if we are trying to deliver the KPI for FRGS, I would say that you better go for publication. But for FRGS, for PRGS, patent filing is a must, especially for new application. Yeah. Last time, any intellectual property can be considered as output. Now the new regulation, they want patent filing. So you see, PRGS is different from FRGS. PRGS is more like a skill up research, not a basic research. So they don't emphasize on publication. They emphasize on pre-commercialization or prototype or the proof of concept. So the proof of concept, actually you can use it for patenting. You see, that's depend on what output you are actually looking for. If you are applying, trying to target for FRGS, TRGS output, publication is a must. Then you go for publication. Patent, forget about it. Unless you have a client, you have a stakeholder that intend to take out your product or something or output, then you go for patent. Sometimes you have to make a choice, isn't it? What you actually want. If you want to fulfill your FRGS KPI, then publication is a must. Patent is not a must. But if you want to fulfill your PRGS KPI, then patent is a must. Publication is not a main concern.
Okay, thank you, Prof. I think it's important not for us. For IP protection, we have 1 year buffering time, Prof.
Yeah.
After the publications. All right, any more questions, please? Okay, in the meantime, maybe I will raise my questions first, Prof.
Yeah.
Again, back to the budget issue, Prof. You mentioned that, let's say for 11,000 for gaji, right?
Yeah.
Let's say if 2 years is 36K and then 3 years is for 54K. But if we calculate 54K for 3 years means that 1,500 per month, which is, I believe it's.
I think I'm sorry that because this slide is old one. I think the latest allocation have been changed.
Okay.
I think they put a new guideline for GRA for a master student. One master student, I think they allocate 2,000 for minimum, and also for PhD is 2002 or 2004 per month.
Okay. So basically, we just refer to the guideline, right, Prof?
Yeah. Because this guideline they always change from time to time.
Second thing is there any what you call it rule of thumb for the distribution of budget for every year? Let's say we apply for 3 years. Does it mean that we have to distribute equally for first year, second year, third year, or how about that, Prof?
A few things that you have mentioned. Traveling usually put in the second year. Yeah, unless you say you need to do a site visit. Yeah, you need to go to site, collect sample, then you're traveling in the first year. But if you go for conference, I would say advise that put all the conference traveling in the second year. So for GRA or RA, it depends. If you are thinking for taking one PhD student, then you have to apply for 2 years. Yeah, usually if we say that your output is one PhD student, the panel will expect that you apply the project for 2 years. So you must allocate the budget for GRA for 2 years. Or if your output is planning for one master student, then you apply for 2 years. Then we must allocate the budget for 2 years GRA. So there's a rule of thumb. Another thing is that the budget for special equipment or whatever should be all spent in first year, because they expect that all the equipment or whatever you want to buy should be ready for first year. You cannot buy in the final year, because why? You need that to start your experiment. So anything you need to buy, like for example, your equipment, the special equipment or something, it should be in the first year, have to finish everything. So cannot put any special equipment purchase in the second year. That's one thing. For maintenance or whatever, that's fine, because you from time to time you need service or maintenance. You can put it as an equivalent. Let's say every same amount for each year. Research material, I would say that put most of the research material money in the first year, because the first year is the time that you need to buy most of the material, your raw materials, your sample, your whatever, your accessory or something. It should be from the first year. Second year is a backup, so second year portion should be less than the first year. So it shows that you're progressing. Cannot be the second year you buy more material than the first year. So this is the logic. See, the panel will think in the way. Yeah, your first year is the time they need more money to start out the project. So any equipment should be buy in the first year. Raw material, most of the money you should spend on the first year, but you can allocate some money in the second year, because why? You still need to continue some of the research. Yeah. So for professional service, that's fine, because you need both first year, second year, even third year. You still need the professional service. That's fine. So other than that, there's no specific criteria that you need to define your budget, how to distribute. So I think that there's no particular one except the traveling and special equipment. That traveling, no conference traveling in the first year, and special equipment should all purchase in the first year. That's all.
Thank you, Prof. Any other questions from the participants? We have about 5 minutes. Okay. Is everything clear?
They can always contact me if you have any question later.
Okay.
Yeah, because sometimes after the talk, they're saturated with all information.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you, Prof. Okay. Okay. Perhaps my last question from my side, Prof. For PIGS, is the panel does the panel prefer to have the applicant who have previous research from FRGS then that been continuous PRGS, or any other previous result?
Yes, PRGS is very special grant. It must be developed from the previous project. It must be based on one previous project. If you don't have a proof of previous project, then they'll reject your PRGS application. You cannot out nothing. Yeah, you must have a grant or something to develop your project. Then based on that project, that you further scale up, you prove a concept, or you develop prototype. That's the thing. That's the important thing for PRGS. So it must be based on the previous project. Whether
so any previous project, right, Prof? Not necessarily FIGS project.
Not necessarily FIGS, because I've seen that some people using, like let's say UTP, they have an internal grant. They're using the internal grant to develop similar to the FRGS. They provide them something like a fundamental grant to develop their project. UTM also have some internal grant, let's say 60,000 or something, to develop certain thing. Now they want to prove a concept, so they apply the FRGS to further develop.
Thank you, Prof. I think if no more questions from the participants, I think then that's all for our today's sessions. Thank you very much. Thank you again to Prof. Luqman for being with us today, and then also for his willingness to address the questions and also his willingness to, I think, receive further questions by email. You can freely email him. I already posted his email in the chat room. And then, of course, I think I will receive, after I receiving his slide, I will circulate to you. So please ensure to fill in the registration form because and then put in your email there so that I can circulate the email and the slide and also link for recording. Yeah. Thank you, Prof, for being with us and for the great presentations. It was really a pleasure to have you with us. And then I think by this, so I conclude this session. Thank you all for attending. We hope you have learned and enjoy the talk. And I believe this is a fruitful talk for us. And good luck for our application for any KPT grants in the next round. Thank you. By this, I close the session. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Prof.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Okay, but I think by this I would like to I will close this Zoom. Thank you, Prof. I will contact you further for the document by email, Prof.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay, all right.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye bye.